Hello, everyone. Here we are again. I'm Marilyn Hawes with Unprecedented TV for my show Heart and Soul. And you can find us on YouTube under Unprecedented TV. But I'm also CEO of a CIC, like a charity called Freedom from Abuse. And we try to prevent any child abuse, the grooming, and any abuse that exists in society today by identifying the risk. So for Heart and Soul, though, I like to invite anyone who has got a lived experience or a story to tell as a guest on my show. If you've got a situation that you think, I really want to give this some airtime, some oxygen, then please let me know. And there's nothing I won't tackle. I'm not, I am no shrieking violet. You can ask me anything, come on, whatever. And we will discuss it. And even at times, I really do like to kick that elephant out of the room because that's what needs to happen. But there are a lot of people that will fade away and turn away from what is other people's reality. And that could happen to any of us. So I like to have over that 50-minute talk, an insight into a situation that might make you think, I hadn't thought that. Anyway, this morning, who has got the most incredible lived experience to tell is the wonderful Lucy Connolly, who has been jettisoned into the media spotlight. And I think it's done her a favour. So welcome, Lucy. Thank you. Hello, lovely lady. Pretty and pink. Very nice.
I've declared summer now. That's it now.
Oh, I get like that. Yeah, I get like that.
Summer's declared.
Yeah,
we're not going back.
No, even if I get chilled to the bone, it's now summer. You've only got a few weeks when you can wear it. Anyway, thank you so much for giving your time today. I've followed your story. Some bits I've missed. But what I like to do with these shows is to sort of like build up a bit to what made somebody become something, or to get to know you a bit. So what was your life like before it happened?
I lived a very an extraordinary life. So, a mum, a childminder, a wife, living in a 3-bed semi in Northampton, doing all the normal things a busy mum, working mum does, deals with the school, ferries their children around, that kind of thing. Very ordinary life.
And the wife of a councillor. Were you elected? Were you voting yesterday up your way?
No, we had ours last year, so we're a year out of sync because of COVID. I don't really know.
Right. No,
ours were last year.
We didn't have it yesterday. So Ray is still a councillor, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So can you, if you don't want to talk about him, please just say, because I know what it's like to lose a child. Little Harry, can you explain? I mean, I know the pain. So can you explain, because other people can understand better how it feels?
I don't know if there is I don't know if you can describe it, can you? It's just an absolute life sentence of grief.
Yes.
And I think people think that the more time goes on, the easier it becomes. It doesn't. The pain is never easier. It's just that you do get better at living with it. And, I remember people saying that to me in early days, you will get better at learning to live with the pain. And you don't believe them at the time because it's just like somebody's ripped your heart out, isn't it?
Yeah, I describe it, living with toothache all the time, really.
It is. It's like there's a part of your heart that's shattered and nothing is ever going to fix that, is it ever?
No.
And obviously,
and did people say? I mean, are you able to tell us what happened?
Yeah. So
how old he was?
He was 19 months old when he died, and he was a really healthy, happy baby. And he just got a tummy bug over Easter. Well, I thought it was just a tummy bug, but then he started passing blood through his stools. So obviously that wasn't normal. So we took him to the doctors, and they sent him straight to the hospital and said, this isn't normal, it needs investigating. And he was admitted to the hospital onto the Paddington ward of Northampton General Hospital. And he was kept in for one night and monitored. But he was deteriorating. He was severely tachycardic. His had really high blood pressure. He wasn't keeping any fluids down, all these things. He lost so much weight over a few days. Anyway, long story short, they discharged him against my wishes and said, oh no, he'll be fine, take him home, we'll give him open access, try and get him to drink fluids. But at this point, there was no diagnosis, and they were just, oh, it's a toddler with a tummy bug. Took him home, he deteriorated further, took him back to the hospital. Took him back to the hospital Thursday. He was supposed to have blood tests, which another doctor cancelled. He was supposed to have a fluid challenge, which the registrar failed to do properly. They discharged him again, saying he's going to be absolutely fine. It's just a tummy bug. Next day, Friday, same thing, even worse. And we were like at the end of our tether at this point. Rang the hospital back. They were like, you can't bring him back here. He hasn't got open access. We were like, yes, he has. They were like, no, he hasn't. He had. It turns out he had. I knew he had, but they were telling me he hadn't. So we ended up at the out of hours centre in Northampton, next to the hospital. And randomly enough, when I called them, the triage doctor that I called, a doctor called Dr. McCracken, was amazing. You know, when I was speaking to her and telling her, and you know, I was a bit hysterical at this point because I was so fed up of really listening to me. I've been telling these people for a week that my son was really poorly, and they're telling me he's not. You know your child, don't you? You know what's normal poorly for them, and you know what's not normal poorly for them.
You know, it's a mother's instinct. You do know.
Absolutely, and that's another thing that I have to live with the rest of my life, because I feel like I knew I was right. I told them, but I let them almost talk me out of it and think to myself, well, you know, they're doctors. Doctors aren't wrong, but turns out they are. So yeah, I ended up talking to this out of hours doctor who was like, no, what you're telling me absolutely isn't normal. It sounds like he's dehydrated. Get him straight here or get him back into the hospital. So I was thinking, yes, finally a doctor that's actually listening to me and taking it seriously and taking on board what I'm saying. Took him straight to the out of hours. It wasn't her that we saw. It turns out she was just triaging. We saw this horrific doctor called Dr. Thamby, who basically, I mean, I was crying and begging him, please send him back to the hospital. In my head, I don't know why, but I was convinced he'd eaten something.
Yeah.
Or he'd eaten a piece of Lego, like, you know, just something. I just thought that maybe he'd eaten something and he had a blockage, or this is my, you know, and they kept saying, no, it's just rotavirus, it's just rotavirus. So again, we went through all this with the doctor. At this point, Harry was really, really poorly. He was like, he couldn't even, you know, lift his head and that was the dehydration. And yeah, he just basically said, no, he's absolutely fine. He'll be better in a couple of days. Go home, give him some Sprite. I'm not sending him back to the hospital. And I begged him. And he's like, no, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. So we took him home. And then that morning, Ray found him passed away next to us. So he'd seen a doctor every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All of them were like, no, he'll be fine. None of them picked up on the fact that he was seriously dehydrated. None of them picked up on the fact that his kidneys were failing. They all ignored the tachycardia, which is obviously a red flag sign. They all ignored the hypertension, which is a red flag sign. They just completely dismissed everything that I was saying to them, and you know, like, we know best attitude. And I remember saying to one of the consultants,
but they do walk around. Some of these doctors have a God complex, don't they? They walk around
absolutely,
and they. I actually feel sorry for some of the nurses, because sometimes, and I think,
they cut all the mistakes, definitely.
Yeah, and I think
and that's exactly what happened at Harry's inquest.
Yeah, the midwives, they do have also at that sixth sense. I mean, that something is not right, and then in comes some doctor that says, "Oh no, it's going to be fine," and the child is stillbirth. I mean, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, it's dreadful. I do have a lot of work to do. I do training over lived experience with NHS students who are training in midwifery and all sorts of stuff. And I will say, you know, you have got to listen to the carer, the parent, whatever. You know, they often know more than you. Don't just wipe it away and dismiss it because you've got a few ologies and you cannot write out the mother's instinct. You just know, don't you? You just know. So how long ago was this, Lucy?
So it was 15 years on
Oh,
1st
wow.
of May, just gone.
Oh,
yes. He'd be 17. He'd be 17 this year.
Don't. And you're going to feel it when he's 18 and all that stuff. You never, ever.
It's always, isn't it? It's like, you know, everything's that they don't, you know, when you've got other children, every milestone that they do, it's tinged with sadness because you think, I never got to see them do that. I never got to see him start school or secondary school. And he should be here now. They should be battling each other, and I should be telling them, can't you just be nice to each other?
It's true. I mean, did you? I had this, and I wrote friendly. I mean, I suppose at the time I was too broken that I didn't actually retaliate. But now I would wipe the floor with someone, which I also say to the NHS students: do not go around saying, "I understand." You cannot, and you do not understand unless you've been there. So you can say, "Thankfully, I haven't been in this situation. Can you appreciate? Can I help me appreciate what you're going through?" But I could now, anyone says to me, like my 3 children were sexually abused, right, by the head teacher who was my best friend and I was a deputy. Anyone now says to me, "I understand." I'm so sorry, you've had the same thing with your children, have you? And they, oh no, I literally go from 0 to 100. I'm on the ceiling. I will wipe. I'm not an angry person, but that sort of thing absolutely enrages me. And did you have said to me as well, you can try again?
Oh, all the time. You can have another one. Yep. Oh, I'll just replace them just like that then. You know,
this isn't something I'm chucking out in the trash. It's something I loved. I mean,
now, like all these horrific people coming after me now. Wow, you know, I know someone that lost a child and they didn't write what you wrote. You don't know. You've no idea. You've no idea in the circumstances that we lost our child. You've no idea what it does to people.
No, and I think sometimes I also say to people, if you don't know what to say, just hold their hand and some simple gesture. Keep your mouth shut. Engage your brain before you open your mouth. when you had, because I understand you've got a little girl, so you must have, I mean, I imagine, because I know what I was like, that it was hell getting past that 19 months, because every day you think, dare I love her? Dare I love her so much that, I mean, what's going to happen? Will it happen to her? I can remember thinking that that the fear of having another healthy child that might end up getting so ill, it's horrendous. I mean, did you feel that?
Yeah, and even now when people say, "Oh, you know, that would never happen to you again," I'd say, "Don't say that." You know, like, just don't tempt fate. I know people that it's happened to more than, I mean, just I don't even, you know, like I can't even imagine. But like, just because, you know, you can't just assume that it would never happen again. And when people say that to me, I get a bit hysterical. I'm like, don't say that. I feel like they're almost like tempting fate, you know, like.
People don't. I think the other thing is, no, they just don't understand. They don't understand, and it doesn't even need to be a baby. I mean, I've got a problem at the moment with one of my 4 children. They're 5 years trying for a baby, 3 years of IVF, and the third one, beautiful baby, 4 months old, started getting seizures, and she's got this dreadful complaint called lysanthropy, flat brain. But again, you see, this is why I like doing this show. You have to end on hope. There is hope. So a certain hospital wiped it out and said, "Oh, there's no point. She's like died by 2, you know, dreadful." And she's smashed it. So no, we're not going to accept that. We're not going to take that. We're going to really fight back. But it's always a fight, and it's exhausting, isn't it?
Absolutely. Everything seems like a fight, and it is when you're going up against the NHS, because they're part of you know, you're not allowed to criticize them. You know, you're shot down if you criticize doctors and the NHS. And like you said, people put them up here on a pedestal. They've got some like God, and you know, and even me to a degree before this all happened. Or, you know, you don't question doctors; they're professionals. They know best. Yeah. And this mentality has been drilled into us, hasn't it, from birth almost. And I think things are changing. Like now, I would literally there's no way I'd walk away now.
No,
but I learned a very hard lesson, didn't I? And
yeah,
there's been times now where, you know, I've been to the hospital with her and I've gone.
Yeah, I think we've both paid a high price for being respectful.
Yeah.
And believing that they know more than us, and yet, you know, they don't. Nobody will silence me anymore now, and it did with you. You're going to have to edit this bit, Charlotte, because the dog wants to come in. Sorry, she followed me at one moment. She'll let it
I've got a dog like that. In out.
Just heard her barking. Come on in. What have you been up to? Eh? What have you been up to? Sorry about that. Sometimes I've only just got to go outside and she follows me and I don't know. So your little girl, she's doing very well. I understand she's good at the certain sport.
She's good. Yeah, she's a good little golfer. That's her thing. So she does all that. But 13 going on 21, you know, with their big eyelashes and their attitude.
The attitude is, how old is she now?
13. She's nearly 14.
Oh, she is 13. Oh, yeah. Do you get because you've got long hair, do you get the flick of the hair?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like you, and they slam the door. They have that last word.
I get worse than that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I can't say it. I can't say it. But I mean, my daughter was she's lovely now, but it's taken 40 years. She was so atrocious, absolutely so atrocious. At one point, I had to take her pony away from her because I thought it's the only thing to stop her hanging around boys. And then she lied and she had to go. But so now let's get back to the day, right? The day. Horrendous that day, wasn't it? So you were out on was it a march or what was it that you was it? It wasn't a march, was it? It was a protest, wasn't it? About the.
No, I wasn't on any protest. It was literally just online. It was just that one tweet
online.
You didn't go
out and do.
I didn't go out. No. Just fired a tweet from home in anger, you know. And that was that. I never participated in any riots or any violence. I never condoned any. The tweet I made was on the actual day when it actually, first happened.
Which was very understandable.
And then I deleted it 3 hours later. And then when they did start kicking off, they started like throwing bricks at police and
missiles
and all that. There was I tweeted, please stop this. This is not the way forward. You're not going to get listened to behaving like this.
Correct.
But obviously they disregarded that. They didn't care about that. The solicitors had that tweet, that the courts had that tweet, and they were just like, doesn't fit our narrative. So no, you're just inciting violence and inciting racism. So we're going to give you 31 months in prison. So it was just a single tweet fired off in haste in the heat of the moment. And then
any of us can do, I mean, because I can be quite outspoken. I mean, I've been doing media for years and I can be very outspoken. So much so that when a certain person came into power recently, I did join the Free Speech Union because I was worried that I've never, ever felt that I needed to. And I'm so pleased because sometimes like you.
Everybody, it's an absolute, if you do anything this year, join the Free Speech Union because they are priceless in the help that they can give you in these kind of circumstances.
Exactly. And they're not even expensive, but I just thought, and my kids were saying, oh, Mum, that's silly. I said, it isn't silly because I said, you don't see all the stuff I do on media and I will get enraged, but, because all the work I do is all about children, exploitation, gang, anything
about children. Emotions take over sometimes, don't they? Especially if they're being harmed or abused or anything like that. If you're in our situation, and for me, my whole life revolved around children. I was a childminder for 15 years, an early years practitioner. I happen to think that children are really important and one of the best things ever. So.
Yeah, I think with what Princess is doing, Kate, Catherine, we're going to Italy and, she is right. It is. I mean, she's someone that's actually bought into this. It is the first 3 to 5 years of a child's life that is so important to, really important to stop all sorts of issues and trauma and everything. It's vital. And I was speaking to last week, I had on the show somebody from she's the communications director from the Family Education Trust. Now she's a younger lady than us, right? And she's got a little girl, and she was saying they are now proving that and this is something they do in Finland, I think, that people are paid, a parent is paid to stay at home for the first 3 years of a child's and paid to do it, right? Because they have understood that there is this issue with children. And I mean, it's something like, 45% of children in the country have attachment disorder.
It's sad, isn't it? And as a childminder, I watched that.
It really is. Yeah, it was a very interesting. It's yet to be released. I'm waiting for Charlotte to do it, but it'd been a bit busy. But I mean, there is that benefit that they're not saying, "Oh, women don't go back to work." They're just saying it could be a man, anyone, and not only, but also they can go back to the job that they were going away from for 3 years to bring up their children, and they proved it in Finland now, and they don't have the mental health issues with kids that we've got here.
Well, I think it's like our school system. We're the only ones that demand our children start school at 4 and sit cross-legged and with their fingers on their lips. That's not
nursery school.
That's not how they're designed to be, is it?
Is that exactly? It's total. It's dreadful. So there you are. Then let's go back to your story. You're there. You've done this tweet, and then you've said sorry, and then you are saying to people, don't do this. This is not the way to be heard. Quite right. So I think everyone understood how you felt, and honestly, I think anyway. So then what happens? You get a knock on the door.
So no, a week went by. So I deleted the tweet. Didn't think anything more of it. And then obviously, the country descended in chaos, didn't it? There was more and more trouble, more and more riots, and then they started to panic because they were, they needed to stop this disorder, which I get. I totally get that. And a whole week later, this screenshot of my tweet that I deleted just appeared all over Twitter. But it was more like the lefties, and they were making it more about my husband. Look at this Tory councillor's wife. So they'd obviously done their due diligence, found out who I was, found out who I was married to. And it was all about that. And like they were tagging him in on Twitter. They were like making complaints like, oh, look at him, his wife's a racist. He must be a racist too. She's a racist. It was all about him, and it was all the lefties and they were just coming for me and coming for him. We're reporting you to the police, da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, oh, God, they were tagging Ofsted in, because obviously they'd realised I was a childminder.
Yeah.
Oh, they were just going hell for leather. So, like, a week later, it just blew up. And then I had to fess up to Ray and say, Ray, because I didn't tell him at the time. I said, kind of sent this really awful tweet, but I deleted it on the day. And he was like, don't worry about it. They're not coming for you. You're just, essentially a middle-class housewife. They're not interested in you, Lucy. You don't break the law. That's what he was like. Well, of course, they bloody well did come for me, didn't they? The next day, knock on the door in the afternoon, arrested me, took my phone off of me. I had children here. I had my daughter here. So I had to get them, Ray to come home and look after him. Look after them even. Well, they probably did look after him more, but, And... so got arrested, and that was the Tuesday. They must have been about the 6th of August, I think. And then I was released with no further charges, so I was bailed. They said it didn't meet the threshold to charge me. And they gave me a bail date, and I remember saying to them, I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks, can I still go? And they were like, oh yeah, you can still go, we're not taking your passport or anything, you just got to answer bail in, I think they gave me a date in November. And I remember the custody sergeant on the desk saying, oh, but they'll probably extend that, because we're so far behind, the courts are so far behind, and and it won't be a priority to them, so don't be surprised if that's extended. So there was me, I went home, and that was enough to terrorise me. I'd spent a few hours in the police cell. I'd had to question, like I was an absolute state. Somebody like me who stays on the right side of the law and works hard and pays taxes and behaves in a respectful manner That's enough to make anyone think twice about ever writing anything like that again. So that was that. And then, you know, a few days went on and, you know, it was still awful. Like, I came off of Twitter. They were still coming for me. They were still, but I just thought, you know, it'll die down. Anyway, Friday morning, I was putting the bins out and it wasn't even 8 o'clock. It was probably about 7:30, 8:15. And I saw this police car coming down the street and I just knew. I just thought,
really?
So anyway, they did. As I was walking back up the steps to the house, Lucy, I said, yeah. They were like, we're arresting you, da 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 da. I thought, what? Why are you arresting me again for? So I went with them, called the solicitor. She was quite mad. She was like, why have they rearrested you? At best, they should have asked you to come in for a voluntary interview because they've already arrested you. Oh, these are different.
I was going to say that you're already arrested.
These are different charges. We were like, what? So they've got all these tweets now, right? That the guy that originally reported me to the police, Mr. Khan, that's all I'll say about that. He found out that I'd been bailed, was very unhappy with that. He'd obviously been watching my Twitter account for quite some time because he'd got really, really historic tweets off my Twitter. And he'd like sent them a load of tweets saying, well, you know, this isn't the only racist tweet. Not that the first was racist either, but, you know, that's what he was saying. And I was like, what are you on about? I said, I've never said anything racist. I'm not a racist, so therefore I've never said anything racist. Anyway, it was basically any tweet that had anything to do with illegal immigration and people coming over on boats. So like my opinions on that basically. And I'd called them, you know, I'd said we were being invaded, and there was like one.
That's what people have put.
Yeah, and there was nothing, like, it was just an opinion, you know, there was nothing racist about it. It was, and there was like, one of them, which they really went to town on, was there was an incident in Northampton where there was a guy that was caught masturbating over children in a local park, and it was near me, and it found its way onto the internet, and it happened to be one of Tommy Robinson's videos, and a friend of mine had tagged me in and said, careful, Lucy, just so you're aware, this is near you. So I'd said, oh, I know about this. I think he's been arrested in court, da 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 da. And I put, he's a Somalian, I guess. There's a big Somalian community around there, because there was a video of him, and you know, like with certain cultures, and Somalians being one of them, they've got quite a distinctive look about them, haven't they?
Yeah.
You could probably say, yo, they're Somalian. They have a distinctive look about them.
Yeah, they do.
So that's all I meant by that. You know, he looks Somalian. There's a massive Somalian community around there. That's all I said. Anyway, that was actually before I'd sent the offending tweet. And somebody had said to me, you can't say that. That's racist. And I was like, well, why is it racist? It's just a description. He's Somalian. Like, I don't understand. And she did end up, this woman, deleting her comments because she thought better of it. She thought, actually, I'm being an idiot here, you know, like. So that was one of the tweets. So, like, in the interview, they were like, you said he's Somali. And I'm like, yeah. And he was also masturbating over children in the park. What's your point? Well, this is Tommy Robinson's video. Do you know Tommy Robinson? You know, I was like, what is this all about? And then the solicitor was like, everybody knows who he is. Move on. And then there was like another tweet where I'd called my friend, and he is a friend. We have a bit of banter going on, and he calls me a Brummie C word all the time because he lives in Hertfordshire and I live in Northamptonshire, and he says I'm a northerner, and I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, like, it's just a joke that we've got going on. And he says, no, you're a Brummie. You're a Brummie. Yeah. So he'd called me a Brummie C word. So I replied to him, another word for a traveller that rhymes with do as you likey, C word, in response to him. So they go on about that all the time. They went on about in that and court loads about how that word, I was racist because I called him, you know, that word. But he called me worse. And it was just banter between two friends. So if he's not taking offence, why is anyone else taking offence?
You're not allowed banter anymore, are you?
Well, clearly you're not.
Can't have
and then hammered home. Like, I see people all the time online saying, oh, it wasn't just one tweet. There was other tweets. They're talking about a tweet where I've called my friend a name after he's called me one, and he is a friend. I was away with him last weekend. And they're talking about me having an issue with a man masturbating in a park over children. I mean, what planet? What has happened to the country? Like,
I
it's
quite
insane.
agree.
Insane.
I can't believe the country I'm living in. I mean, I think it's been a build-up for the previous government as well, but it's just suddenly you can only put a pint of liquid in a pint pot, and suddenly it's all coming over the sides. That's how it feels.
It does feel like that. Yeah.
It does. And I mean, I genuinely worry for my own children. And I've got little grandchildren. They're all little. I worry about them. I spend a lot of time worrying about them. What on earth is it going to be like? But so when they took you away, so how long was it?
So they arrested me. They charged me that day. So that they'd obviously picked me up and rearrested me on these nonsense tweets. And then they charged me that night. So all of a sudden, Tuesday, they didn't have enough to charge me and let me go without charge. Friday, nothing's changed. I haven't done anything else. I adhered to my bail conditions. I didn't go on social media. I hadn't said anything else. So this line that they trot out about, there was tweets before and after. I was bailed on the Tuesday with conditions not to post on social media. I didn't break those conditions. I didn't go back on social media. No. So again, that's just an outright lie. So they charged me that night. It was really late. It was by the time they'd got the go-ahead from the CPS to charge me, it was about 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I'd been there since like 7:30, 8 o'clock that morning in the cells. And it now turns out that they were waiting for Lord Hermer, the Attorney General, to sign it off and get me in court immediately. So I was remanded that night and not granted bail. They said, we're not giving you bail. Didn't really give me any reasons why, because legally I was entitled to bail. I hit every criteria that meant I should have got bail.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hadn't got any previous history. It was, I wasn't a flight risk. All of those things, all of the things that the law states somebody should be given bail, I was denied bail. Put in front of a judge at 10 o'clock the next morning. So I had to get some random solicitor to just be there. He asked for bail again. The magistrate judge denied bail, said, no, it's too serious. And we're going to send it to Crown Court because that charge, a public order charge, is they call it an either or case. So it can be heard in magistrates or they can decide to go to Crown. But obviously, a magistrate can only give a prison sentence of up to 2 years. Crown starts from 2 years. So that tells you everything that you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, the whole thing's just ridiculous. When you think they let paedophiles out on a suspended sentence and that doesn't even go to the Crown Court.
While I was in there, you had like Hugh Edwards walking away from court.
Oh, don't get me started.
You had, like you said, paedophiles getting half the amount of time that I got.
Yeah.
The online,
I get really fed up when they go on about online child images. No, they are not. They are real cases in real time of children being raped and sodomized, bestiality, all of it. Real children in real time by real people, and they are not images. And I think the judges should, and yet they're allowed out on a suspended sentence. It's just bonkers, absolutely bonkers. So I mean, it just feels to me they were going to get you. And do you think it is a conspiracy theory, maybe, but do you think it's because you were a Tory councillor's wife?
100%.
Oh, really?
100%. Yeah. If you look at, for example, the BBC, who we know are an arm of the government, right? You will not find one single report about me that doesn't start with Tory councillor's wife, Lucy Connolly.
Right.
And we joke in our family that I'm going to get a number plate that says TCW, Tory councillor's wife, and that. And the mainstream media, that's the first thing that they would say, Tory councillor's wife, Lucy Connolly. No, I'm just a mother and a wife. And I'm just a mother,
yeah.
The amount of people are like, well, he must have known, and he must be racist. Absolute nonsense. He didn't know. It was, he understood why I did what I did. So he supported me in his capacity as my husband, not as a counsellor, in his capacity as a husband and the mother to his children, like any decent man would do.
Yeah.
But they didn't like that. So they went after him again. And if it wasn't about him, why did they go after him? So they tried to unseat him. Then when there that the official investigation with the local council was over, and they said we haven't found any misconduct. They weren't happy with that. This was an anonymous group of Labour people, by the way. They weren't happy with that, and then they went to some super high, lawyers in London to look at the case again. How much did that cost the taxpayer?
Exactly.
Of which came back again, there's no misconduct. He hasn't done anything untoward in his capacity as a councillor. Yes, he supported his wife. Why wouldn't he? Was the kind of answer. So they desperately tried to unseat him. And he got so much grief from like the Labour lot here and people here, and the local MP, Mike Reeder. He gave Ray hell. Ray was on the train back from Birmingham, right? This is what these people are like. They're inhumane. Ray was on the train back from Birmingham. I'd just been given 31-month sentence. He's like thinking, how on earth am I going to go home and tell our daughter Mummy's not coming home and she's got 31 months? The BBC and the local newspapers are ringing him up saying Mike Reeder, the local MP for Labour, is calling for his resignation. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you people? Right now, that's not his priority. And why? He hasn't done anything wrong. So if I worked for McDonald's and I did something wrong at McDonald's, would they blame my husband for that then? You see what I'm saying? Like, why is it anything? Why is this anything to do with him? I don't understand how. Well, I do understand, because it was all about nasty politics. And I think people that don't understand and don't know, local politics is awful. To be quite honest, I don't know why anybody would want to stand as a local councillor.
I don't understand.
You get a shit wage for all the grief.
I'm not a political animal at all. I mean, I suppose with the way, I've only once voted Labour in my life, and I vowed I'd never do it again, ever. So I didn't vote, I did vote. I will always vote, because I think with the suffragettes, we owe it to them that we have the right to vote. So
I don't think it makes a lot of difference, but I think people died for that vote, so we should use it.
Always. And you've still got in this world today women that are not allowed to and are suppressed, and I just think, no, every woman, well, I think everybody should vote. I actually think it should be mandatory that people should vote, to be honest. Even if you screw up your voting paper, you should get off your backside and get down to that, to that voting place. I agree. But I mean, it must have been, so when they, oh my God, I'm just trying to live in your shoes right now. I mean, your heart must have stopped beating. It must have been.
And then they were telling me I was looking at 7 years, and I'm like, oh my God, Edie's going to be like a grown up. And, it was horrific, absolutely horrific. I can't even begin. So
I don't know if you're allowed to say where you went, but was it a category, given they think you were such a serious offender? I mean, not a risk to the public at all, actually.
They said this place is to the foreign national prison in Peterborough, can you believe?
Oh, you're joking.
Yes, so I did most of my sentence in Peterborough, so that's the nearest prison to here. So that's where they shipped me to.
Is that a Cat C, Cat B, or Cat A?
I think it's Cat B, but women's prisons aren't categorised.
Oh, they're
only
not.
Men's are. No, and Peterborough is the only prison in the country that has a male estate and a female estate on the same.
Sort of campus, if you like.
Yeah, I know what I mean. Same, So it's obviously we're not together. There's a door, but it's the only mixed prison in the country now, and I think it's Cat B for like men, but women aren't categorised. It's just open or closed for women, which is a bit shit, really, because like if you're a man and you've done like a low level crime, the chances are you're going to get put in a prison with other men that have done low-level crimes and are not paedophiles and rapists and murderers and all of those things. But the problem with the women's estate, because it's a lot smaller, you're in with a child murderer. So your next-door neighbour could be someone that's just killed their child or been involved in a paedophile ring, and you've got to live with these people. It's pretty horrific.
Yeah, I'm sure, because you say, I mean, they are. The low crime ones, you either have open prison or Cat C. I mean, I have been into prisons, but I've only been into male prisons. Never, because what's happened was with the stuff with my own stuff with the child abuse and all of that. I then would be, because I was all over media and got the guy arrested and charged and put in prison. But I was often contacted, funnily enough, by male prisoners who actually were paedophiles and wanted to talk to me. And so I get a letter that came through from the governor, like almost like a legal letter with a stamp thing on it, you know, of the prison and everything else. And I would go in and sort of talk to them, but I've never had a woman write to me to say, can you come and talk to me? And I would have done. I'd been quite interested in that, actually. So, I mean, you do get, am I right? Am I wrong? There must be some hideous examples of people. Do they get beaten up? Do they get attacked? Women on women?
I think it depends on the prison that you're in.
Right.
Peterborough is actually for some reason, I don't know why, it's a pretty calm prison. And the women are quite nice. It's run very badly by the people that run it. It's a private prison.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a private prison. And it's, well, I'm not going to say what I think of it on here, but yeah. But the officers are pretty decent, and it's what they call a bang-up prison. You're locked up at night and stuff, so you've kind of almost got that security. And the officers are always there. So the first sniff of any trouble, they're on it, you know, they're breaking it. Of course, things happen. And there were some nasty incidents. I mean, throwing hot water is a common one. Hot water and sugar in prison.
That's that. They call that, napalm, don't they?
Just, yeah, that's horrific.
I don't understand.
You do get a bit of argy-bargy, but in the main, actually, women's prison, most women have got families, have got children, all of these things, and they just want to put their head down and get on with their sentence. And most of them shouldn't even be there in the first place, you know, like you're talking about women who need help, not locking up.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And in fact, a lot of it, I think, even with the men sometimes, there's a brilliant thing on YouTube. It was done by it's called Step Into the Circle, and it's a project they're doing in America where they go into the real hardcore lifers, do you know what I mean? And this woman is standing in a quadrangle, and it's a male prison, and she's saying, step into the circle if you were physically abused as a child, step into the circle if you were verbally abused, step into the circle if you were neglected, blah blah blah, if you were sexually abused, and blah blah blah. By the time she's finished, all these prisoners are almost right around her. And when some of them were interviewed, they were just in tears. And it all went back to the first 3 to 5 years of their life.
And you know what? I mean, I can only just touch on this, but as you know, I've been involved the last few weeks with a young girl that I met in prison, and I'm trying to support her. And social services was involved in her baby, and she was in court this week. And even her barrister, who was representing her, was trying to tell us that, social services are just overcautious, and not many children slip through the net because they're very good, but they're underfunded and overworked. I had to just bite my tongue, because I thought, you go and spend a week in prison and then tell me that most people are not failed as children. It's like you said, it stems from children. And I don't necessarily mean by which they failed them so that they ended up dead, but it's still a failure if they've ended up in prison or in foster care or whatever, because they failed to support them.
Absolutely right. And I always, when I'm training, you know, I do a lot of training, of course, and with less so since the VAT tax on schools. But I always say because I'm a former deputy head, and I used to say, you have an avenue there, right? And in the middle of the avenue are a load of children, and you will see them emotionally go like up and down within there. But on the outside of that avenue, you've got a child that's very aggressive or a child that's very regressed. Those are the kids that need your attention. Those are the ones that are not just naughty, not just over shy or timid. They have trauma in them. You know, and that trauma is manifest in behaviours, and that isn't looked at properly in schools. It truly isn't. And although
they just suspend them, them and make them someone else's problem. That's what they do now.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's exactly what they do. I mean, it is. So, did you? I mean, what was the food like? Was it because some of the men's ones
awful?
Yeah, dreadful. like pig's
And
will.
it's just carbs. I mean, the only protein I think I ate the whole time I was there was a bit of tuna a couple of times a week, because the meat, absolutely not. I wasn't touching that.
And were you given jobs? Like, I know some of the men.
I worked on the servery, so I served everybody their food, and then everyone has a job in prison. You're not allowed not to have a job.
They do, don't they? They all do. And then it depends how well behaved you are or not. And did you get paid? Because the men get a little bit of pay. That's
like
right.
£1.10 a day or something silly.
Yeah. So have you made friends from there?
Yeah, I did. I was pleasantly surprised at the women that I met in prison. And like you said, there are very, very, of course there are what I would say monsters, people that I would never let out of that place, that have hurt children, that have murdered, there are, of course, but I would say at least 80% of these women are just women that it's almost like they've been put there because they don't know what else to do with them. It's just easy option for them.
I'm very friendly with a guy called, I don't know if you've heard of him, a guy called Peter Garston. I've known him for 20 years, and he is a child abuse lawyer. And he said to me years ago, he said, I've seen more innocent people in prison than not. There's more criminals that haven't been convicted out on the street, that have never, not even been arrested, but I've seen more innocents inside. And I think that's right.
Because I truly believe they go for the low-hanging fruit. That's what it is.
Oh, that's correct. So did you, I can't remember, did you finally come out earlier than your sentence? Or did you did the full term?
I didn't get anything. They wouldn't give me tag. They wouldn't even give me ROTL, which stands for Release on Temporary License to come out and see ED, which I hit all the criteria for, a bit like the whole bail situation. Yes. I was an ideal candidate to come out and do ROTLs and childcare ROTLs. And even the most horrific of criminals, towards the very end of their sentence, when they're due to be released, will get a ROTL. They'll get what they call it resettlement ROTLs. I wasn't even allowed them. I didn't get one single ROTL. So I was
absolutely
like the whole process.
I mean, it must be awful for your family. I mean, this is the sort of thing as well that ends up splitting up marriages. I mean, it's brilliant that you are still together, and
And I always say, you know what? Luckily, it's actually made us stronger, because we've
yes,
and stick up for one another. And secondly, this is not the worst thing we've been through. We've as a family, we've come through the other side of, losing a child. There's nothing more horrific than losing a child in the world.
I agree. I say that now when something happens. I said nothing can be any worse.
That's what we kept saying. That's what we kept saying to each other and to ourselves. Everybody's alive. This will be over one day, and everybody's okay. That's what we kept saying.
Absolutely right. So we're going to wind up. I just love talking to you. We've got to come winding up time now. So what's next for Lucy? Because you must be good. They've actually done you a favour, because they've given you a sort of career, haven't they?
a little bit. Came at a big cost, but they're giving me a platform, that's for sure. And that's what I want to do. I mean, how successful I'll be, I don't know, but I really want to advocate for these women that don't have a voice.
I honestly think this sort of trauma. So when my children were sexually abused, that's why I do the work I do. Also, I had 19 years of domestic abuse. So again, I am passionate about helping people that have suffered and not been able to escape it or whatever. And even if it means signposting them, And I wrote a book. Have you done a book?
No, but I want to read that. It's out now. It's literally going to be out in the next few weeks. It's all good, ready to go. I've just got to put it to publish now. So it's done. It's coming imminently. We've had a few teething problems with the publishing side of it and all that kind of thing. But it's almost ready to go now.
Things that you can't say, better not say that. But when is your time up? When you've got to...
about 9 months left now. They did actually. Probation banged another condition on my licence to say that I cannot name or make anybody recognisable from the prison and probation system. So when I'm talking about people in the book, I'm not allowed to use anything that would give their identity away.
No. There was stuff like because they've got no right to reply or something, isn't it? I mean, I had the same with my book. I thought, it's going to come out now. And then
thinking, I mean, as much as I'd love to call some of these people out by name, it's worth it, And at the end of the day, if you write the governor at Peterborough, I mean, it doesn't take genius to work out who I might be talking about, does it? So
exactly right.
And
know,
I'm not like these people. I'm not out to cause trouble for them. You know, the probation, as much as I've had my run-ins with probation, they're just doing their jobs, you know, and they're trying to help people. That's not what I'm about. I will never stoop to these people's levels. I don't want to see people getting harassed on the street because they've ended up in prison or whatever. That, you know, they've got to live with that they can do that. You know, I'm not like I pride myself on not being like that. I will never come down to their level.
I think it's very difficult at times, but you have to keep the higher moral ground, don't you?
Absolutely. And I do feel,
you know what? I'm not the one with the problem. You are.
That's what I think. And I think, like, I do think that. I know what I said wasn't nice and it wasn't right, but it wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a reflection of who I am.
No. Quite
the opposite. And I know that. Everybody that knows and loves me knows that. And they're all the people that matter. The people.
Exactly right. And I do think it shows. I think this brings out the woodwork who your real friends are as well.
Absolutely. And
I was horrified when it all happened to me with the Jeff Connolly paedophile thing. It was like I had measles. I couldn't believe that. But I'm not the guilty one here. It's the guy that abused my kids that was. But listen, Lucy, I could sit here and talk to you for hours. And I mean, I hope you've enjoyed it and been able to really. I can't believe where the hours nearly gone.
We need to do Plonk of the Week together on Mike's
show.
100%.
It's going to be. Oh my God, you've got to watch this one. As Charlotte said, the one yesterday. And I think the thing we did yesterday, I was not expecting to have to do it, so I was still pretty tanked up. And I said it yesterday. Oh, you've got to watch it. We have to. That will happen. That will happen. It'll be a nightmare for everyone, but it'll. No, sweetheart, you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to. I wish you hadn't had to go through it, but as I say, I think my dad used to say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And you know, things and doors will open for you, as they have for me, and it will for you as well. So you take care and have a lovely time with your family, and talk to you again soon. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye, love. Bye, darling. Bye bye. Wow, what an amazing lady. Now the hope in this message is be resilient, stay strong, and I always think it's always worth thinking, is this the worst thing I've ever been through? What a wonderful lady. And I'm telling you now, whatever they've done to her, she's come back fighting, and she is going to blossom and grow and be even more amazing than she is now. So you take care, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for listening. This is Marilyn Hawes signing off from Heart and Soul with Unprecedented TV. Bye now. God bless. Bye-bye.